So this class is going to be a little different than classes in the past. I warned most of you if you were here last week or if I saw you throughout the week to eat dinner first, because this is all about sugar. My whole goal today is to get you set up to go home and make Christmas gifts for your family. Okay? These are things that I make quite often for my family. They're fun recipes, and it's a lot easier than you think. You just gotta know what you're doing. So go to your spun sugar recipe. The candy thermometer goes a little hotter than your meat thermometer. That's why you want a candy thermometer when you're working with sugar. So when we're working with sugar, we've got a few different temperatures we're gonna look for. We're gonna talk about what each of those temperatures mean, but this takes a little bit of time to rise to those temps. So I'm gonna get it going first, okay? So for our spun sugar, we're gonna start out with sugar, corn syrup, and water. The water is just going to kind of give the sugar and corn syrup a vessel to dissolve in and work in. You want to stir it as little as possible. We're just going to kind of incorporate it. We're going to let that get going. I'm going to take my candy thermometer. If your tip is touching the bottom, you're not going to get an accurate reading, okay? So, if I go like this, I think you guys can see it best. My tip is in there, but it's not touching the bottom, and you can still see the numbers on the side, okay? So depending on what level you cook the sugar to, will depend on what the final product will look like. And I just want to take a peek at what we're coming to now. You can see it's climbing pretty fast. Right now we're about 200 degrees. This is hot. Be careful, do not touch it to your skin. It'll burn instantly and it's really hard to get off right away. And then we're going to get to our clear liquid phase. Now that's closer to what we're going to work for today. This is where you would get to toffees, that nice, hard, smooth sugar. You're not going to have any crystals left, and you are going to be 100% sugar at this point. No water left in it whatsoever, okay? So that's what our goal is to get to today. What you're going to need is some kind of equipment to drape the sugar over, okay? I'm going to show you what I do here. At home, you can use a bowl, you can use cups to spin it over. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. But I'm going to take a pan, 2 handles over the top. Alright, I'm going to oil up my surface. Simple food coloring to dye them, get really cool colors. Now, the spun sugar. At this point, if you wanted to do the sugar glass, pour this over a surface and let it harden. And then just pick it up and crack it. Drop it, crack it, it looks like glass. It's a lot of times around the summer, I will do beach glass with it, which is really cool. People like that. So if you look at your recipe, it says right now to put this in an ice bath. You can definitely put this in an ice bath to start the cooling process. It's a little cool in here today, and I'm using kind of cooler equipment, so I'm gonna skip the ice bath step. But you notice I am just giving it a few to come down a couple degrees. At this point, this is pure sugar, no water in it, nothing. If you pull this up right now, you see I don't have smooth beads. I'm gonna let it cool just a few minutes, and then it'll start getting a little smoother. See how quick that's happening? We went from drops to... Alright, so I'm getting the nice, smooth. This is where it gets fun. You want to whip back and forth, fast. Over your surfaces. Can you guys see those threads starting to form? They're literally cooling in air. Use these as decorations. They look really awesome on cakes. You do have to be gentle with them. They're just like glass. Is that cool? Spun sugar. Spun sugar. Your recipe is for a chocolate covered cherry fudge. That is one of the fudges on your table. Can you guys tell the 3 different textures in those fudges? We're going to talk about how I got those 3 different textures, okay? So, first of all, we've got our sugar. Our handy dandy corn syrup. And our cream. Alright, as soon as you start getting a few bubbles, getting that sugar dissolved a little, go ahead and add your chocolate chips. Now, I'm using chocolate chips in this recipe. You can use peanut butter chips, white chocolate chips, butterscotch chips. Any chips you can get your hand on will work for this recipe. Like I said, these are more of a flavorant than they are the actual final texture. Okay?
Milk chocolate.
Alright, we're gonna work that in some. Now look at the fudges in front of you. Chocolate one is obviously the chocolate chips. The peanut butter one, peanut butter chips, easy. The maple one, can you guys tell that that's a maple?
Yeah.
Maple pecan, yeah. That is white chocolate chips. I used white chocolate chips as my base and then added a flavor into it because white chocolate is very mild and you can use that to flavor. Alright, this is gonna come up very fast. The fudge you can stir a lot more. Don't worry about the fudge. Now when you go to fudge shops, Mackinac Island, Cross the Street, Kilwins, things like that, you see them working the fudge, right? We're gonna essentially do the same thing, but we're gonna cheat with bowl instead of a marble table. What they do are marble tables that are cooler, and that cools the fudge and works the air into the fudge and kind of slowly hardens the fudge. We're gonna essentially do the same thing, but we're gonna do it by hand here, okay? Just to get ready, I'm gonna spray my pan. We're about 220, 230 right now. See how fast that's moving? Your chocolate covered cherry fudge recipe says to use maraschino cherries diced and patted dry. That is a big thing. Pat them dry, work them dry. If you get that extra moisture in them, you're gonna get a softer fudge that'll fall apart on you. You can add candies. I really like a white chocolate fudge with crushed up candy cane. That's an awesome one for the holidays. Just about anything you can substitute in for that cherry. Like I said, we really wrote these recipes so that you could be very diverse with them. Change out your chocolate chips, change out your vanilla flavoring. We're gonna add the vanilla in a minute. That's not the vanilla. The vanilla in a minute. You can change out your vanilla for a different extract. You can change out, obviously the maple one, I changed out the vanilla for a maple extract. Things like that. Just change out the ingredients a little bit, but keep the sugar the same. At this point, you're gonna add whatever your extract is, vanilla, and butter. The butter's just gonna smooth it out, give it a nice texture. Yeah, butter's on that. Then you're just gonna work it in. We wanna bring this down several degrees. I believe your recipe says down to 110. 120, 130 is doable still, but as low as you can bring this down. You see it's starting to firm up as she brings it down? This is the most time-consuming part, but stay with it, work with it, okay? Awesome, I'm coming in at about 130 right now, so we're gonna go ahead and pull it. You want a nice, even surface. That way it cools evenly, and again, that way you don't get chunks in it, you don't get crystals in it. See how that's firming up already? 2 hours refrigerated, and you'll get a nice fudge. When you're doing the truffles, the chocolate is the star. The chocolate is what it's all about. That's what forms that texture and forms that flavor, that velvetyness. So I like to use a relatively good quality. Semi-sweet is my favorite for the chocolate ones. That way you can still enhance the flavors and it doesn't get too sweet on you. You can use a darker chocolate, a higher cocoa content. You can use a lighter chocolate, a milk or something like that as well if you wish. And again, you can see I did white chocolate with the other ones. With truffles, you need to work very fast. So I'm gonna get everything I need ready first, and then we're gonna put heat to it, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna do is finely chop up my chocolate. All right, then once you get that chopped up, you're gonna throw it in a bowl. I would not recommend using plastic for this, glass or metal. The first step forward is heating your cream. You want to simmer your cream, but take advantage of simmering that cream. That's how you can infuse flavor into it. You guys will smell all that fresh orange in just a minute. So depending on how much flavor you want in this, would depend on how much orange zest you would put in it. I actually put 2 oranges in the ones you guys have on your table. That helps you. And if you wanted to do a herb right now, what you would do is just chop it up. Alright, so while Katie's chopping chocolate, I'm going to get the cream simmering. You can dip these in chocolate if you want to create a nice shell on them. I chose not to today because I wanted to stick to a little bit more of the original. My cream is simmering. You can see it's taken on some of that orange. Alright, at this point I'm also going to take the chance to, instead of putting the vanilla in, put a little orange liqueur in it. Your mint raspberry one is actually the mint leaves simmered here and raspberry liqueur to flavor it. Alright, you're going to let that sit for just a minute. It's going to start melting that chocolate slightly. And then you're going to slowly work it. You're going to let that hot cream melt that chocolate for you. There are definitely truffle recipes out there where you heat the chocolate or you melt the chocolate and the cream together. I don't like that. That scares me. You can burn chocolate very easily. This takes away any chance of burning your chocolate. So see, I'm just smoothing it out relatively thin on the bottom there. This recipe doubles nicely, but you do get a good amount out of one batch. Alright. In the fridge, 2 hours. So after those 2 hours, you're going to get a nice firm texture on it, okay? This is where it gets fun. We're going to form them. Now, like I said, you want to think about what you're coating them in ahead of time. So at this point, we're going to take them, use something like a teaspoon to kind of get a basic form. And your hot hands are the enemy of these truffles, so you want to work fast. You're going to form it, you're going to quickly roll it. Like I said, we're after the shape of truffles that you find on the ground. We don't need a perfect ball. And then into your coating. And into an airtight container. There you go. Nice, easy truffles.
Ryan Servatius here with Century 21, and I'm here with Sarah Peterson of Taste Restaurant in South Haven. So Sarah, will you give a little bit of history real quick about your career?
So I wasn't sure I was going to love culinary, but I started working for Heidi and Joel here 4.5 years ago when the restaurant first opened and have fallen in love with it. I've worked my way up in their kitchen from just a basic line cook to their sous chef position. I absolutely love it.
And tell us a little about today. Today we did sugar.
Yes, we did a sugar class. So the goal was to teach you things that you can make for Christmas, make for your holidays, your friends, your family, that kind of thing. We did a little fudge, some spun sugar, and truffles.
Nice. Sarah, thank you very much. Remember, this is every third Sunday during the winter months. We are sold out this year, but if you can show up, you may be able to hear it. We have a ton of great specials here at Taste. Sarah is always here making everything delicious for us. So
follow us on Facebook. We may sneak a couple extra classes in there if we have time this season. And next year the classes start selling in September.
Well, thank you very much. You guys have a wonderful evening.